all, and welcome to the second episode of my podcast, Trust the Process, where we talk everything about Black entrepreneurship. Today, I have Miss Daria Harris, the owner and operator of D Coutured Party Decor. How are you doing today, Miss Harris?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, ma'am?
I am fine. Thank you for asking. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about D Couture. Like, how did it get started? Where did this vision come from?
Okay, so how D Couture got started? I guess we can start there, right?
Right.
So D Couture got started. I was a single mom working at Waffle House.
Okay.
And I wanted to throw my daughter the biggest, most extravagant birthday party ever. But of course, on a waitress salary, that's not happening. So I've always been a creative person, and I wanted to figure out what I can do or test my limits. And so I decided to DIY basically her entire party, minus the cake. I could not do it. And so that's what I did. And after the party, a lot of her guests asked me like, hey, can you help me with my daughter's birthday, or can you help me with my son's birthday? Or I have an event coming up, can you help me with that? And that's kind of how D Couture became D Couture. As far as how it's blossomed, I realized that I didn't really like the event planning space. It was a lot more work than I anticipated and that I was willing to do.
Okay.
And so that's when I realized I had a knack for graphic design, and I started doing customized party favors. So like the customized chip bags, the Hershey bar wrappers, water bottles, creating the custom backdrops. And then I said, okay, let me test the water some more. Clients was like, I know you can do this. Here, just try it. So then I started getting into balloon decor.
Okay.
And then that's just kind of how D Couture became what it is today.
Okay, awesome. So just to let you guys know, she actually created those custom cups that I did for Devin and Desmond for the Supreme Financial Group. She is awesome. She's actually one of my sponsors for Miss Black South Carolina International Ambassador. So she's doing pretty big things out here in the Black community, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Shout out to you.
You're welcome. Okay. So now that you're getting into like party planning and custom favors, like what has been the biggest task someone has asked you to like create or customize for you that you were kind of like, that's a little out of the box, but I think I can get it done?
So I think that would have to be like the most recent, one of my most recent orders. So they wanted like, the client wanted like a versus theme, but you know, versus is kind of neutral tone, like black, white, gold. But the client wanted me to also implement other colors like a pink, a red, a blue, because the party was for two different people, opposite genders. And so I'm like, how in the world will I get this done? So of course my initial thought, sent it to the client, she's like, yeah, so what about the colors? And so I'm like, yeah, these colors don't really go with it, but let me get back to you. So my brain literally got put to work. And so I think, honestly speaking, from a graphic design perspective, that was probably the most difficult thing I've ever had to do. It's really hard to do something or create when you can't envision how to get it done. So
yeah, I can definitely see how that would kind of go haywire, especially with that amount of colors.
A lot of colors.
Of colors, yes. And I know with you being into like graphic design, your eyes are probably like, oh my God, this looks crazy.
Yeah, but it came out beautifully, got tons of compliments on it, and the client loved it, which is essentially who I do it for, the client.
Right, no, definitely. As long as the client is happy, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Perfect. So that leads me into my next question. So in your definition, how do you define Black entrepreneurship?
So Black entrepreneurship, of course, being an African American, and then also owning a business or offering some sort of service, so or product. So what I think defines a business is offering a service or a product. So if you offer a service, you offer a product, that constitutes a business, and therefore it makes you an entrepreneur.
Okay, gotcha. So being that you are a Black entrepreneur, what is one of the hardest or the toughest lesson that you learned starting out with your own business?
Yeah, so when I decided that I wanted to do this entrepreneur thing, I really literally had to understand all of the nitty gritty pieces of the money.
Okay.
So financially speaking, Uncle Sam wants his money.
Y'all hear that? She said Uncle Sam wants his money.
And he wants his money on time. And if you don't give him his money on time, there are penalties, and you're like, I probably lost a lot of money in penalties.
Oh,
money
wow.
that could have been put towards something else. But it's a lesson learned. Pay your taxes. Pay your business taxes on time, because that's important. Keep track of everything.
Right.
Because when tax time comes, you got to be on it. And so that has definitely been the hardest lesson for me, for sure. Like, losing money over something that, had I had the appropriate knowledge or education on, it could have been avoided, for sure.
Okay, gotcha. So my other question is, do you think as African Americans, we are at a disadvantage when it comes into stepping into the entrepreneurial world?
Definitely. And that goes back to my point about education. As a business owner, I feel like, or I truly believe that African Americans are not as educated in owning or running a business as other races are. I also feel like as an African American, we aren't afforded the same opportunities, and that's with anything: education, work, just anything. So even housing. So definitely owning a business, something that's going to literally make you money, something that's going to feed your family, is definitely harder. And like I said, we just lack the education about businesses. So I feel like that definitely needs to be some sort of course or training on running a business and all the small pieces, because all we see is, oh, this person made $10,000 selling t-shirts, but what else it came with selling those t-shirts? Wholesaling, taxes, like I said, and even figuring out expenses, like documenting everything. And so I feel like those things are really important.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, because even for myself, like, I took an entrepreneur class in college, but I must say, like, certain things, like, even now I'm learning as, like, a pageant title holder, it's certain things I'm learning now, like, wait a minute, I didn't learn that in entrepreneurial class. Like, I missed something, right? So it is definitely tough. Being an entrepreneur and a Black entrepreneur is kind of like two strikes against you already from the beginning. So it's definitely tough out here in this world for entrepreneurs.
Agreed.
Definitely. So my next question for you is, during the pandemic, how did that affect your business, and what did you do to kind of like adjust and make sure that D Coutured was still floating and alive during the pandemic?
So surprisingly, business did not slow down during the pandemic for me, which, very surprising.
Really?
Like, who's still having parties during the pandemic? Who's still having any event, for that matter, during the pandemic? I got a lot of clients, a lot of new clients.
Oh, wow.
During the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Business has been great. I don't believe that I suffered at all. I mean, maybe in the very beginning when everyone was like extremely scared, but maybe after the first couple of months we started getting into graduation season and businesses, I can't say I was negatively affected. Even now, today, business is great. Booked and busy.
Booked and busy, yeah. You are definitely blessed, because I know a lot of businesses did suffer. So, hey, okay, you was booked and busy all of the pandemic. I hear that. All right. So my next question for you is, how do you give back to your community with you being a Black entrepreneur?
Yeah. So I actually, if I'm not volunteering, I'm donating to a local church in the area. I think that's my biggest thing. And then, like I said, anytime I'm asked to do like sponsorships, I can't really do like over the top huge sponsorships, but I do try to give where I can. I think that's very important, not only for myself, but also for whoever I'm supporting or sponsoring. Like, if I have it, then you have it. Essentially, it's kind of my motto. So, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, Ms. Harris, thank you so much for joining me today. You guys, tell us where we can find you.
So I am on Instagram at D Coutured, DCOUTURED, and Facebook, same spelling, DCoutured.
All right, y'all. So thank you so much for joining me today. We'll see you guys next time. Let's find out who my next entrepreneur is going to be. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Bye.